Okay, so welcome back from your long weekend. You had a long weekend. I did not have a long weekend, but you had a good long weekend, right? I hope you did. So what we're gonna do today is we're actually gonna do lesson 6, because lesson 6 is pretty short. Okay, it's just talking about what payday loans are, because we see that we see that around, right? The payday loans. So that's just going to be some kind of a discussion, and then we're going to move on to lesson 7, which is a compound interest. Okay, so we're going to do 2 lessons today, and we'll go as far as we can. Okay, lesson 6 talk about explanation of payday loans. So another way to borrow money is from payday loan company. So it is not recommended that you borrow money from one of these companies because the amount of interest charged is exorbitant. Okay, it's way too much. And it sounds like it's not a lot, but really when we see this, it's quite a bit of money. Okay, we'll see it. These companies loan money to people who will be receiving a check in the near future. People use this service because they are short on cash and money can be quickly borrowed. Depending on the company, the borrower might have to meet certain criteria. For example, so they're going to ask us to bring the following. Okay, these are the things that they have to. Your last check stub. Okay, your last check stub. So if you had a paycheck, what's your last? You gotta bring a paycheck from last month or last 2 weeks ago, whatever is you have. Valid photo ID. So there has to be some kind of a photo ID so that they can verify who you are. And it has to be government issue. Okay. Your most recent bank statement, so your bank statement that you can get from your bank, and a blank check. Okay. So those are the things. Did you know? Okay, so this is the background things of these. Did you know the borrowing cost is $17 for every $100 borrowed? So it doesn't look like it's a lot of money. It's like $17 for every $100 borrowed, right? Which is, we're thinking it's 17%, right? 17% for $100 borrowed for a short amount of time. So the maximum you could borrow is 30% of your net pay. So the maximum, the highest we can borrow is 30% of your net pay. So that's why they want us to bring a pay stub so that they can figure out how much we can borrow from it, right? And we could only borrow 30% of the net pay. If you need to renew or extend your loan, there is a penalty of $5 for each additional 100 borrowed. Okay, so now we're paying extra $5 for every $100 borrowed. And then it says here, if we need more information, we can check this out. Okay, well, we can look at that website later, or you can look at that website later. So with that information, let's see how payday loan works. So let's imagine that we borrow $100 from payday loan. $100. Okay? And then we have to, because paycheck comes every 2 weeks, right? Paycheck comes every 2 weeks for the most part. We have to agree to pay it back in 14 days. That's 2 weeks, which you get which is basically the same time as you get your next paycheck. So it says here, the payday loan company claims that since they only charge $17 for every $100 borrowed, the interest is 17%. This is actually not true, because when we borrow from a credit card, when we borrow from a personal loan, those interest rate is for the year. That's the interest rate for the year. But this one here, it's not for the whole year. It's only for 14 days, right? So this doesn't seem unreasonable, right? Because you're only borrowing for 14 days. So the annual interest really, so it says here, the annual interest means for the whole year, is actually way much higher than 14%. So if the interest, I'm just gonna jump to this part here. If the interest is 17% for 14 days, 17% per 14 days, so how much percent is that for 365 days? Right? 365 days means the whole year. So we cross multiply there. Cross multiply to solve for x. So 365 times 17 divided by 14. So that becomes, okay, I'm just going to show you how they got this. X is equal to 17 times 365 divided by 14 days. That becomes 443.21%. So in a payday loan, really, we're paying 443.21%. That's like four times the amount of what you're actually borrowed, right? So you're actually charged an annual interest rate, and then you see here, like really, it's not the best place to borrow money, okay, if we need money. So let's take a look. So Kareem wants to borrow $1,200 and he expects his paycheck in 6 days. When he will pay the money back, he will calculate the annual interest rate that Kareem be charged. Okay, so in this case, 17%, and then he's supposed to pay it back in 6 days. So to actually cross multiply that, so x is equals to 17 times 365 divided by 6. It should be correct. So 17 times 365 divided by 6. Okay, 1,034.17%. So that's the interest rate that they're really paying. Okay, not 17%, right? It's over 1,000%. It just looks like it's cheap, right? $17 per 1,000 borrowed, but it's really much more, because what they did is they shortened the timeline. They shortened the time. The time is up to 14 days only. Okay. So that's a summary of how payday loan works. So if you need to borrow money, right? If you're short, you can get a loan from the bank, a personal loan, which is a much lower interest rate. You can borrow from your credit card. Actually, credit card, that's the annual interest rate. Annual, that means for the whole year. And the payday loan is much way bigger. Okay, so this part here is just a discussion. This is a discussion. So when you look at this, there's no assignment that goes with that, right? It goes now to lesson 7. Okay. Lesson 7. Compound interest. Previously we talked about simple interest. Okay? Previously we talked about simple interest. That's the I equals to PRT question, right? Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about compound interest and what's the difference between the two. So we'll talk about the difference between the two. Of course, because there's a difference between the two, there's a different strategy in calculating. So we'll get started with this. So we've already studied the simple interest rate in lesson 2. So we've done that. There's another type of interest called compound interest. And it is a type of interest that is used by most interest calculations when we are borrowing money or investing. Okay, so most of the time, this is what the strategy that people are using when we're talking about interest calculation for loans and investing. With compound interest, the amount of interest is added on to the principal. This means that the next time interest is calculated, it will be calculated on a larger amount. So I think I look at this as like a snowball. So your interest will become part of your principal, and the interest, because of that, the interest will gain interest much faster. Compound interest makes a big difference on the final value of investment or loan. Compound interest increases the amount you earn when you invest money, but it also increases the cost when we borrow money. So the formula is this, okay? So this is the formula. This is already highlighted. We're gonna use that, okay? So this one here is very different compared to what we've seen before, right? This is very different from what we've seen before. So let's take a look. What does the A mean? So A is the final amount. So the final amount, that's the combination of principal and interest. Okay? So A is the amount, the final amount that's combining the principal and interest. P is the principal, and principal is the amount invested or borrowed. Okay, so investing, when we're actually putting money in the bank, and then the bank is using that to gain more money, right? And then borrowing means when we are actually asking the bank for some money. So investing and borrowing. R, okay, you're familiar with the R already. R is the annual interest rate expressed as decimal. So R is the you're gonna get percent, so we have to divide by 100. We've seen that before. Okay, this one is different. N is the number of compounding periods in a year, and I'll talk about that in a second when we see the chart. N would be the number of compoundings per year, and then T, we're familiar with this one as well. T is a time in years. So so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through some examples. Now, before we get into the example here, A is equals to P. What does a bracket mean in here? Times, multiply, right? Okay, so P times all of these inside the brackets. And then, can you see the N and T on the top? That's the exponent. So we're going to apply the exponent part to this. Okay, I think we're okay in figuring out the exponents. Your calculator has exponents, right? So remember, N is something that's different, something that we've never seen before. N is a number of compounding times in a year. So we have to pay close attention to the wording, because the wording will tell us what the N value is. So when the wording says annually or yearly, that means we get the interest compounded once a year. Okay, so when you see annually or yearly, the N value is 1. If we see semi-annually, semi means half a year. So how many halves are there in a year? There are 2 halves, right? So if we see a semi-annually, you're gonna put down N would be 2. Quarterly, N is 4. Oh, this one's easy. Monthly, it's 12 because it's 12 times a year, right? Semi-monthly would be 24. Bi-weekly is 26. Weekly is 52 because there's 52 weeks in a year. And daily would be 365. Okay, so if you want, you put a star beside it, so we know that we're going to put that on our formula sheet. Right on our formula sheet. And we will be talking about formula sheets soon, because this lesson is the very last lesson of this booklet. So we're going to talk about the test and so on. So, example 1. Okay, example 1. It says here, Yuri invests $3,775 in a financial institution at 4.75% compounded annually. Use the compound interest formula to calculate the total value of the investment at the end of 2 years. So let's take a look. You invest $3,775. So this part here, this part there, is the P value. I'm just gonna write it down here because I don't have a lot of space. 3,775. So P is the principal, and that's the amount of P, investing or borrowing. Let's go ahead and read it. Continue on. Okay, so investing $3,775 in a financial institution at 4.75%. Okay, what's a 4.75%? That's the R, right? R is 4.75%. And then we had to divide that by 100. So, yes. Yeah. 0.0475. Okay. Now, if we continue on, it says here compounded annually. Compounded annually. I know it's just words, but then when we say that, compounded annually, that tells us the end value. Okay? If it's compounded annually, what's the end value? Let's go back down. You see the word annually? The end value would be 1. 1. Okay? And then keep going. Use the compound interest formula to calculate the total value. That's what we're trying to calculate at the end of 2 years. 2 years. I know that's the T. Okay. So we're gonna put the values into the formula and then we calculate. Okay. So here we go. Find the total amount. So A is equals to, follow the recipe, P. What's a P? 3775 brackets 1 plus R. Okay. I'm gonna put in the already divided by 100, okay? Because I know some people like to do dividing by 100 in the equation, so I'm just gonna do this. 0.0475. Okay, so R is 0.0475 divided by N. The N would be 1. Okay, close brackets. Exponents would be N times T. N is 1 times 2. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. This piece is already 1 times 2 equals to 2. Right? So that exponent is just 2. So, okay. Follow with me. Follow with me. Could you please locate your exponent button? Where is your exponent button? No, that would be this one here. Y to the X or X to the Y, or the caret. Okay. So follow along with me. So 3775, okay, brackets 1 plus 0.0475. Okay, so I'm over here now. Divided by 1. Okay, brackets. I'm gonna bring it down a bit. Close bracket. So far we've had these up to the last brackets here. These are exponents, so we have to press y to the x or x to the y. Okay. I'm just gonna figure this out. We already figured it out. That's 1 times 2 is 2. So we'll just go 2. And press equals. So let's see. Did you get the same answer? $4,142.14. Okay, so if you didn't try that earlier, so I'll encourage you to try that and see if you can do that on your calculator. And if you have questions about your calculator, I can come and figure it out with you. Okay? So raise up your hand if you have questions about your calculator, how to use it. So get used to it. Okay? Now this becomes an, okay, I'm going to ask you to bring a calculator. So from now on, there's no cell phones allowed. Okay? So bring a calculator that you can use in classes. Cell phones won't be allowed. And it's hard because if we switching back and forth, we try this on our cell phone, and then later on we try it on our calculator. Sometimes it's different, right? Different buttons. Okay, you want us to get used to the way we do it. Okay, so I'm just going to go around and help you out with some of these.
I got it in that. Oh, I don't want to go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe, yeah, I don't think the calculator understands this one.
Yeah.
So give it a try. Easier when you're like instead of learning one way and moving that way another way. So give it a try with that one. Are you okay? Did you? What? Oh.
Miss N, just this is what. N equals to 61.
Did everybody get it? You're working on that one already? N times T, that's your formula as well. So N times T. So N is what your compound annually, and equals 1. See what else? I can't see it, but I wrote it on the side in here so that you have information. This part here. I organized it already there so that it's easier to write down the formula. Okay, so N times T is 2, so you multiply these two together. Okay? Okay, so now figure this out on calculator. And then, yeah, and then let's work that out first. Okay, I see that students are already taking on looking at example 2, so we're going to do that right away.
This is some brand and then give the proper answer. Zero brand is
Anybody else? Oh yeah, we're gonna do that right away, okay? Okay, everyone is okay here? You need help? Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go in the middle. You need help too, or are you okay? Yeah. Oh, yes. You didn't get this number? Oh, no, okay, we haven't talked about that. We're gonna talk about that in a second, okay? Is this the one that you're asking about? Okay, yeah. Okay, so I like how you're moving on, or, you know. Okay, so let's take a look at example number 2. Once you get this, it's pretty easy. It's not so bad. Okay? So let's take a look at example number 2. What we're gonna do is read the question, and then you notice I wrote everything down on the side. So write those information on the side, and then we'll go from there. So Ileana invests 4,000. So investing, I read that and I know what is that? P. Yeah, we know that's the principal, which is $4,000. Okay, I put that on the side there. Okay, at 5.5%. So that one is 5.5. That's the R, correct? So 5.5 means 5.5. So 5.5%. We have to divide that by 100. 0.055. Okay, so
Okay, just leave it at that.
leave it like that. Yes, I'm not moving it. Okay, so 5.5%, that's the R. Another piece of information that we need is this part here, compounded daily. And that is important because when you see the word compounded, we know that that's a compound interest formula, and that's the N value. N is equals to 365. Okay? Calculate how much interest she will receive after 3 years. 3 years. So we know T is 3 years. Okay. Good. So from here, we know that we can calculate the total amount. We can, using all these information, we can calculate the total amount. And the total amount is equal to A is equals to P times 1 plus R divided by N to the exponent N times T. Okay, N times T. So we write down the formula first, and then we do the substitution. Okay, I need to have the P. So what's my P? 4,000. Brackets, that means times. Okay, there's going to be always 1 in here, so 1 plus R. R, I'm going to put 0.055. See here, divided by N. Okay, divided by 365. And then close that brackets. And then the exponent should be N times T. N times T. 365 times 3. So what I normally do is try to figure this out right away. Right? Try to figure these out right away. $365 times 3. So I know that when these two get multiplied together, I'm going to get 1,095. Okay. So, put that in. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and type it in as well at the same time as me, and let's compare our answers. This is what I got. $4,717.51. Okay. Did everybody get this number? Okay. If you haven't tried it, I encourage you to try it on your calculator. See if you get the same number.
One will have to divide it. Right? To divide it.
Okay, did everybody get 4,717 and 51 cents? Okay, some people are saying yes and yeah? Okay, you're okay?
No.
No? Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look.
So this is one before now. So this is full time.
So just to let you know, we're not done with this example yet, okay? So no, one plus, okay, delete the list. 1 plus
Divided by 56. Also, divided by 365.
Close brackets.
Close brackets.
Okay, now your exponent would be n and then the t is n and t
Yeah, this-
multiplied together.
Yeah, so this is my exponent.
Yeah, exponent. N is 365.
Okay, 365.
N is 365 times 3
Okay, times 3.
equals. Your calculator does it. That's good. You got it. Okay. Is everybody okay now? Okay, is everybody okay now? It's at the same place as this? Okay, next, remember this one here, it says here, what did we calculate? Like we calculated the total amount,
Yeah.
but the question is calculate how much interest is in here. Okay, so calculate the amount of interest. So this is the total amount, which includes principal and interest. Okay. So how can we figure out just the interest? How can we figure out just the interest? So we're gonna go the amount, take away the principal. Because this amount is interest and principal, right? So if we take away the principal, what remains is the interest. So I is equals to 4,717.51 minus the principal of 4,000 so it's $717.51. Okay, because if you take a look at this, you put in $4,000 to invest, and then at the end of 3 years it became 4,700. So it increased, and it increased because of the interest. Is that good? Yeah? Okay. We're going to take a look at the next example, and then we'll see how we go. Agar has just inherited $5,500 and he wants to invest his money in GIC. So $5,500 inherited, which he then invested. So really that's the amount of P. Okay, P. His credit union gives him an interest rate of 4.25%. So we know that's the R. So 4.25%. If we divide that by 100, we're going to get 0.0425. Correct? And it says here compounded quarterly. Compounded quarterly. So that's a key information. So quarterly N is equals to 4. Excellent. Calculate the amount of interest his money would earn after 5 years. 5 years. So that's going to be the T. Okay. So let's go ahead and calculate that. Well, the only thing that we can calculate first is the A. So let's figure out what the A value is, the total amount. So P times 1 plus R divided by N to the exponent N times T. So do you want to go ahead and try that one? So this 2 pieces here, that multiplies to 20. So our exponent would be 20. So I'll try it. 5,500 times 1 plus 0.0425 divided by 4, exponent 20. Okay, this is what I got. Yes. Nice. Okay, so $6,794.59. So somebody's cheering because they got this. Did everybody get it? Did everybody get this number? Yeah? Okay. You know how I know you got the answer. Okay, now the question is calculate the amount of interest. Calculate the amount of interest. So how can we figure out the interest?
I equals A to B.
Yeah, so I is equals to A minus P, right? So I, 6,794.59. Okay, so that would give us $1,294.59. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop right here. No, we gotta do the last one. Okay, I think I'll stop right here, but I will give you an assignment. Or do we have time? Do we have time to do example 4? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, we'll do it. Bring it down. Okay, let's do example 4. Because you're getting the hang of this. Like, I want to finish it off, right? Okay, let's do that. So calculate the amount of interest on investment for 6% for 4 years. Oh, this is a tricky one. Okay? Can you see the word here? Simple. simple interest. Okay. So, yeah. So this one here, investment of 1,000, 6% for 4 years. And look at this word, it's a simple interest. So what's a simple interest formula? I equals to P times R times T. So P is 1,000 times R. R is 6%, which is 0.06 times time, 4 years. Okay. The reason why I'm using this is because of the word simple interest. So we gotta use simple interest formula. Let's go ahead and calculate that piece. I got $240. Okay, so the interest is $240 for a simple interest. Now we're going to take a look at letter B. Calculate the amount of interest earned. Okay, very similar, $1,000, 6% for 4 years if compounded annually. Annually, that means N is 1. Annually, and 1. Yeah. So let's calculate that. A is equals to P is 1,000 brackets 1 plus R 0.06 over N to the exponent 1 times 4. Okay. So go ahead and calculate that piece. So I didn't write down the formula. Went straight to substituting.
I'm writing first formula.
Okay, yeah, that's okay too. $1,262.48. Yeah, because I had to round. We had to round. Okay. Now this is the amount, so we had to figure out how much is the interest. So interest is equals to A minus B. I equals to A minus B. Okay, so we have two different kinds of calculation. The calculation for the final amount is $1,262.48, which gives us a $262 interest. So, which investment would you choose? Would you choose simple interest or compound interest?
I would choose compound.
Simple. I would say simple because it's lower interest.
They're the same in. Well, if this is the no, this is an investment. It's an investment. It means your money, putting it in the bank, and you want it to grow. So this is an investment. This is not a loan. Yeah, you're not borrowing money. This is your investment. So which one would you go for? You want your money to grow faster? Your investment, this is your own money that you're putting in. as it sits there. Yeah, exactly. There would be the B. Yeah, exactly. So we're choose investment B. Because interest is you want a higher interest in your investment, right? Yeah. So your money is growing, and it's gonna keep growing and growing as it sits there in the bank. Okay, so yeah, we did finish. So what we're gonna do, then you do have some homework to do for tonight. Okay, I'll get you to do this question 1. Okay, go as far as you can with question 1. Okay, this one here is just getting used to the calculation. Okay, so that's your assignment for tonight. And then tomorrow we go over some questions that you have, and then we'll work on the word problem tomorrow, because word problem is a little bit different. Okay, good. Have the good rest of your Monday, and then I'll see you tomorrow, right?